Okay, what did Tennessee? The same thing Arkansas. Okay, that's my bad joke of the day. Hey, if you like big fields and farming long grain rice, you might like this map. It's in Arkansas. It's Arkansas 4 times, and it's 4 times because it's big. But since it's 4 times, you can only use it on PC. You're only going to find it on PC. Let's start over here. There's your farmhouse. Nice, big, pretty nice. You start over here and you got a Case 340 with 374 horsepower. It has an auger wagon on the back so you can put out by your field and collect some of that because you're going to have some long grain rice here. You got a middle of the road, the Case 7150 harvester with a header and a trailer, a grain header. You do not have a corn header. You have a very big 16 million liter silo, which is great. Okay, you have 2 bunker silos. That must mean you have cows, and you have the potential for cows. You have a liquid manure pit here. You have a cow barn. It doesn't come with any cows, but it holds 313 cows. That's a lot. Okay, and it comes with a manure pit, which is pretty cool. You have several. Let me show you on the map here. You have some. Well, we'll look at it in a second. But you have a container here with seeds in it. You got a container with dry fertilizer. You have a fuel tank, and it doesn't have any fuel in it. It's funny because everything else is full but your fuel tank. You have a good sized windrower, a nice tedder, biggest tedder I think, and you have a lawnmower because you have lots of grass. You got a decent size forage wagon, and you have a square baler. Okay, square baler. Okay, over here you got a square baler picker-upper, and you have some bales of stuff. You got silage, straw, and across the way there, we'll look at it in a second, you have some hay. You have a nice storage building over here, and in the front here you have some seeds, and on the other side, inside, you have some dry fertilizer. Okay, inside the building, you got a quickie front end loader for one of your tractors. You have a big planter, horse planter, pretty nice. You have 2 Case 400 tractors. They each have 435 horsepower. Behind this one, you have a decent sized seeder. Behind this one, you have a good sized cultivator. Over here, you have a slightly smaller case. Well, actually, this is your smallest one. It's the Case 260. It has 302 horsepower. And you have your fertilizer / lime spreader. And you do have lime outside here. Okay, you got a nice rig here. Looks like America. And you're in Arkansas, so there you go. Has 500 horsepower. This is like a 1979 one. Look at the inside. It's cool, though. It gets the job done. I like the sound of the old ones. And it's got a 51.8 liter, 51.8 thousand liter container on the back. Okay, and over here is your lime container, and it's full of lime. Let me show you. Okay, you start with all this stuff. You got 320,000 liters of hay, 60,000 liters of lime, 31,300 liters of seeds, 130,000 liters of silage, 120 of silage additive. That's right over there by your front end loader. You got 64,000 liters of solid fertilizer and 216,000 liters of straw. Let me show you where your hay is. You have a pressure washer right here, which is cool. You got everything but where to do maintenance, and that's across the way there. I'll show you in a second. All right, here's your hay. It's stacked over here, and this is your grass field. Okay, look at this puppy. Let me show you on the map. All right, there's the whole map. You own all this. As far as I can tell, this is around 120 or 130 acres of grass. Okay, and I'll show you what I did with that here in a minute. And you have these other fields, and all these, when you start the map, it starts at 6 in the morning. And the reason is you have a lot of long grain rice to harvest. Look at that. And it is ready to harvest, even though it's normally in September. When you start out, it's in August. When you start at 6. So you got to get rolling on that. So you got a lot to do. Now I got about $1 million worth of long grain rice. Let me backtrack just a second. Okay, your grass. This is the first update on this map. So when I tried it on the first map, your grass was ready to cut. On this map, it's already been harvested. So you can work on your long grain rice to start with and wait for the grass to be ready to cut a couple of months from now before you can cut the grass. So that was an update. Let me show you something on your long grain rice too. So when you start out, when you get here at 6 o'clock, first thing you want to do is come over here and drain this field. Okay. And then go to your other two. There's two more. Okay, straight down here. This one, drain that. And go down here and drain this. Okay. Now you have this big field here. For whatever reason, it's not technically a rice field. It doesn't have a water pump. If you downloaded this map before the update, none of the fields had water pumps. So we went back and fixed that, fixed a few of the things. So now it's a lot better. So what I did is I put soybeans in here. That's like 83 acres of soybeans. Let me look back at the map. So you got this field here, that's 16 acres, 17 acres, 83 acres. That's not that much. That's your whole farm. 11 acres there, so this is probably 20 acres there. I'm just guessing. Hard to tell. And there you go, that's your farm area. Let's look at it from the air here. Okay, there's your little farm area. You got a nice setup here. Like I say, start with this field, drain that one. There's some others around if you get that far. I'm going to show you what I did with this map here on mine in a minute. So you come down here, there's your other fields of rice. You got your grass over there it's got to grow a couple of months because it's just freshly harvested. You got the bioplant right here, and here is the shop area, okay, where you do your maintenance, buy stuff. You got the old grain elevator museum you can work on. There are collectibles on the map. Over here is like the most congested area where all your points of sale are. Let me show you on the map there what you have as far as productions. Okay, you don't own any, but you do have a bakery, a canning factory, a carpentry, cereal factory, cooper, dairy, grain mill, oil mill, potato processing plant, a rope maker, and a sawmill. And that reminds me of something else that we're going to look at in a second when I cycle through the equipment. So you come down here, all your points of sale are down here, almost all. We're going to look at the other ones. So the majority of them's down here. Okay, looking at the map. Okay, we're in this area. There's your farm. So majority of it's concentrated right here. Nothing's north, just fields. So we're going to go east. There's a couple of things east. I'm sorry, west. So you go down here, we're going to turn west, go this way. There's the animal dealer. All your stuff's over here. You got some pretty big fields. Like I say, we got one of grass. It's like 120 acres, 130 acres. I don't know exactly. And there's some as little as 4 or 5 acres. It's one other farm you can buy. However, let me just show you this puppy. I wouldn't buy it because it's $2 million and you don't get anything but this little area and that one little tiny field for $2 million. So yeah, yours is, there's no way I would sell mine and buy this. If I was going to start, I would buy the other one. Okay, you got a point of sale over here, the grain barge terminal, which is cool, but it's strange at the same time because there's no water here. Yeah, so there you go. All right, coming out this one on the map. And this is the western edge. And over here you have the grain mill, which I purchased because I had a lot of grain. So it's something you might want to consider. And going back this way, you go toward the little town area where the shop is. So you can see there's a lot of long grain rice in here. If you like farming that, it's pretty cool. More fields you can buy. Okay, now we're back to the shop and back to your farm area over here. It's these fields that are flooded. So like I say, when you start the map, you want to unflood those fields. Let me show you what I did with this map. All right, here's my map. By the way, you have a puppy named Chester. Okay, it's mostly the same. I upgraded my harvester to the largest case, and I do have a corn header now. Let me show you some of my equipment. I now have a little fast track medium-sized tractor that carries this fertilizer spreader. I use a line for that. Everything's out and about. I forgot to mention on the first map that there's 2 forklifts. There's one at the shop that you can use, and there's one at the sawmill you can use. Okay, my tractors are pretty much the same. I've added a couple of little tiny tractors. I've added this very large planter here. Okay, that planter is part of the Plains and Prairie pack. It's the Tempo K24, part of the Plains and Prairie pack. It's $290,000. You need 360 horsepower to pull it, and you have that with your 2 big tractors here. And it seeds and fertilizes using liquid fertilizer. It plants and fertilizes, I should say. So that's a pretty decent piece of equipment there. Okay, I did buy the big lawnmower there. I've got something to catch my manure in. I got 2 of these little tractors here where I have my Milk International 423, because you can buy one for like 6 or 7 grand. I am full of cows at 313. There's my other tractor with the milk tank. I've added this mod. Let me show you that. Okay, it's a silo. It says silo wood, but it's silo multi-fruit, and it has 10 million liter capacity, and I'm using that for hay and straw, because the hay barn, you have so much hay out there. I started with a 130 acre field. I'm going to show you what I did with that in a minute. I have the big sprayer there for herbicide. I have the big seeder. I dropped my weight on my tractor, and I have 2 of these big cultivators, the Vaderstat. Because as far as my fields go, all of them except the big one have long grain rice in it, of these fields. And I put soybeans in here because it did not have a pump. You can't replant long grain rice. There's no way to water it. Well, you could, but it's not going to have a very good yield. Okay, this is the center of my grass field. What I did is I divided that into 4 fields. Okay, I just came off here and I kind of split that into these pieces, and I have barley here, sunflowers here, canola here, and then this field, the 1/4 of what I had, is now grass, and that's plenty for my cows, and I only have to cut that a couple of times a year. So I cut it in the spring, and then I'll cut it late fall before it gets too late in the year. And that gives me enough grass to run those 313. I got half buffalo, half dairy cows, okay, for my cow pen. And that gives me enough to do that. I have purchased the grain mill and the oil mill. Okay, the barley field gives me enough to keep that going all year. And the long grain rice, same thing. And then on the oil mill, I'm putting long grain rice in there. And then I'm also putting my canola and my sunflowers in there. So, and that's generating me a pretty good bit of income, anywhere from 55, 75,000 a month from those things. And then my soybeans is almost $1 million worth. So, like I say, when you start out, you're going to get about $1 million for your long grain rice there. So what I did is I went ahead and borrowed the money and bought the largest case harvester, because you're going to need that, and it's still a long day harvesting all of that. So that's the map. That's what I did with it. Pretty fun map. If you like square fields, if you don't, this is not for you. A lot of them they're all rectangular, at least anyway. Most of them are some shape of square or rectangle. And they're pretty flat, but it's great if you want to put some productions out, do some grass. It works pretty well. It is 4 times, and the 4 times maps are PC only. They're not on console. So it's a long way down there to the grain mill. It's going to take you a minute. There you go. So that's it. I'm Farmer Teacher. If you see what you like, share this with your farming buddies. I'll see you on the next go-round. Bye-bye.